Well, here's to hoping that tonight's episode of The Masked Singer kind of helps lift up my spirits. Well, I think it's pretty safe to say that before I talk about what I'd like to talk about today, well, I guess I could start with my act of kindness, which was, actually, come to think of it, my low, high, act of kindness are what I'm going to talk about today. Even though I did other things involving my act of kindness, including the usual take out the garbage for my folks, and I also cleaned their kitchen sink a little bit. A whole bunch of dishes, put in the dishwasher. So, I did some things. And, I mean, it's going to sound a little bit cliche considering that, yeah, it's another instance of my high being the fact that I was with family. But, my low stems from the fact that my grandmother is not doing very well at all. In fact, it's kind of an understatement. I mean, ever since she got sick about a month ago, she's just slowly but surely just all but given up. I mean, she would just rather be in bed all day. She doesn't eat or drink. I mean, the good news is, right now, that when some old people are about to pass on, they're usually, breathing heavily? That hasn't happened yet. On top of that, her vitals are actually normal, which is good. But I can genuinely think, yeah, it might happen sooner rather than later. So I went to see her yesterday, and yeah, it was pretty bad. In fact, here's the thing. If I didn't have an appointment elsewhere, I would have stayed longer. And listen, I've seen worse stuff than this before. Sure I have. For a little while, I used to work in a hospital. Although it's the sort of thing that made me want to leave the hospital more than anything. So, and it's not like, listen, considering the fact I've already lost 2 of my 4 grandparents, this technically isn't anything new. Yeah, it still hurts, and obviously I wish it didn't happen, but, I guess it's just something that, you just deal with the inevitability. It seems grim to say that everybody's gotta go sometime, but that's the truth. Although, it's funny, I was 6 years old when I had my very first existential crisis. And that was when I found out that, dying is, once you die, that's it. And to this day, I remember crying at my mom about it. Although, as I have gotten old, here's the thing. Yeah, I still think death is, overall bad. And obviously, I wish that on no one. But over time, I've come to the conclusion that, let's say for the sake of argument that there is a way that you don't have to die, living forever can be just as horrible. Because unless there are people in your life who are living along with you, you're going to feel all but alone. Yeah, sure, you'll meet other people, down the line. You know what? did you ever see the movie The Green Mile? You know, Tom Hanks' character pretty much lives like forever at the end of the movie. And like it's basically that kind of problem. Like all of your you survive, but all of your loved ones go. My point is living forever also has its problems. So I guess in a way I'm kind of stuck in that medium of, well, dying is bad, but living forever isn't really as great as you would think it is. Honestly, I wish there was a happy medium, but sadly, at this time there isn't. So, I mean, it happened to both my grandparents on my mother's side already. It'll happen to both my grandparents on my father's side at some point. It's gonna happen to my mom and my dad at some point. It'll happen to my brother at some point. And yeah, it'll happen to me. And that is the time I am not looking forward to. But honestly, the only real right thing to say is that, it's natural. It is the natural part of life that, let's be honest, no one likes. And sometimes, you don't even get a choice in the matter of, when it happens. I've met people who've died of, cancer. I've met people who've, died in, accidents. These things happen. And who's to say that's not going to happen to me someday? Because it could. So, right now, again, my grandmother's vitals are okay. And, it's not like she's if any of you guys are nurses and you're watching this, and you've probably seen it too, where right before they pass on, they're breathing really heavily. That hasn't happened yet. So, there's some good things going on here. But again, she just can't eat. Therefore, she also can't drink. No water, obviously. She can't even drink through a straw. It's that serious. Just about the only thing she could eat is eat and drink water and some Jello. And it's pretty serious. But, I got to see her yesterday. Gave her a couple kisses on the forehead. Honestly, if anything truly gets me to I'm not saying I'm not gonna cry, but if anything's gonna get me to well up, it's probably because I'll probably see someone else, start welling up that I'm close to, maybe my mom or something like that. Maybe that's gonna get me. I can totally see that happening. In fact, it almost happened back when my grandfather died. Although, when it came to my grandfather dying, during really it was at the cemetery I went to, because he's buried in the Bath National Cemetery. And for the most part, I was maintaining my composure. I only started welling up when, well, what can I say? It's Bath National Cemetery. They were playing taps on the trumpet, for God's sakes. And then the 21 gun salute. Good God. The fact I was able to maintain composure still amazes me. Don't get me wrong. Part of that is I was going through my own stuff as well. Some anger-related things about my family. I guess I was too angry to cry. I don't know. So, and again, I've lost several family members over the years. that, were obviously sad. I mean, I lost both my grandparents. I lost both of my great aunts, my grandmother's sisters. I think I was about 10 years old when I lost my great grandmother. Actually, as sad as the passing of my great grandmother was, and I barely remember anything about her, I do remember that my father's cell phone went off during the funeral. And this is back in the days where this wasn't like smartphones either. It was like a flip phone at the bottom, like a little antenna you had to put up and put to your ear. That really did happen. And funny enough, after that funeral, we went to Buffalo to celebrate my, I guess sort of my ex-great-grandfather's 90th birthday in Buffalo. Or actually, wait. Yeah, I'll be honest, I can't remember how he was related to me, I'm sorry. But, I mean, I can say that thankfully I've had some people of my family lived in 90. I mean, my grandfather just turned 90 on my father's side. Just turned 90 a month ago. So, there's that. And, yeah, I think honestly what's going to get me the most is if, at any point I see my grandfather, because he's the one who's really taking this hard. I mean, my grandparents have been married for 71 years. For those of you who don't know, I mean, this is back in the late 40s. Actually, it would be late 40s, early 50s, roughly. And simply put, they both eloped. They ran off and got married, which that's a fun conversation for two sets of families to have at 1 o'clock in the morning. Hey, where's my daughter? Hey, where's my son? But, yeah. I mean, at the time it was scandalous, just like any other, eloping is. But, 71 years later, here we are. So, yeah, that part was probably, again, rather scandalous. But a lot of great came out of it. My grandparents had 5 kids, who 3 of them had kids of their own. And it ultimately led to me existing. So I can't really complain about that. I mean, again, it's probably coming across that my grandmother's already passed, and who knows, maybe at this moment she has, and I just don't know it yet. I mean, I don't think it would be. Listen, if my grandmother had passed, I think I would have already gotten a phone call about it. So I'm just gonna say for the moment, she's still alive. But best case scenario, it's probably about a month before it's over. And that is best case scenario. I mean, my father's definitely a little bit hopeful. Maybe the possibility of, maybe she'll come to her senses and think, holy cow, I'm gonna die. I should probably, get up and do, because again, her vitals are fine. And she's not breathing heavy. She just doesn't want to get up out of bed and eat. That's literally about it. Which doesn't really sound all that bad until you start to consider the fact that, she's 89 years old. And my grandmother was the kind of person that didn't really eat much anyway. So, again, it's the sort of, contributing factors. Although I'd like to believe that, if it ever happened to, say, my mom or my dad, I'd like to believe that they wouldn't be feeling this way either. I'm sure they'd probably want to get up and walk around and do stuff. And I'm sure many, many years from now, when it gets to be my time, hopefully someone's going to be around to get to get me out of bed and walk around and do stuff. But after I saw my grandmother, about an hour or so later, I saw my mom. Told her I saw grandma, and that was good. And then she asked me what I thought, and I said, well, it is what it is. Gosh, considering the video I just did on Monday, and today, I'm sorry if these last several days have been pretty, melancholy. Especially when, listen, I've been making videos for almost 2,300 days. You know exactly what kind of entertainment I can bring to the table. But sometimes you just need to take a moment, breathe, reflect on the good and the bad in life, and just sort of, take a minute to process. And in a way, that's what I've been doing lately. And again, whatever happens, happens. And yeah, I'm going to feel pretty awful. But I can't say that. Listen, having a death in the family shouldn't define a person's life. If anything, it's going to sound kind of silly to say, but I would say, and hear me out, a death in the family should be like having drinks when you go out. What I mean is, alcohol should define an evening. Alcohol should complement an evening, not define it. And that's exactly what a death in the family should do. It should complement a person's life, not define it. And you probably, well, Nick, it's a death in the family. That's bad. True. But it allows an opportunity, again, to reflect on all the good that happened involving that person. And if death didn't happen, I truly think life would be kind of boring. You need that. You need to have a natural ending, hopefully. Again, sometimes, you get sick and, with cancer and stuff, or maybe sometimes you get in a horrible accident that happens too, and therefore you don't have a choice. But people need to be able to pass on. They do. Sadly, I just wish there was a better alternative than, death. But once again, it is what it is. If you actually watch this video all the way through, thank you very much for indulging me. I hope that, I am very humbled I was able to speak my mind about these sorts of things, just like I have been doing for almost 2,300 days now. I hope you take the time to hear this and, reflect. If you have family members, talk to them and tell them that you love them. I know I'm going to be doing that later. And if any of you guys want to talk, you know where I'm going to be. So, make good choices. And I'll see you guys tomorrow. Well, why not? 607 all day, baby.